We're going to go to the how to tape an elevon on Ritewing style with 3M storage tape. First thing you're going to do is get your elevon covered. This one's been covered in laminating film. This is the piece that I took off that elevon to give it that inboard taper. The inboard taper is what ends up going down closer to the prop. With this area out here, this is the most effective part of the elevon is that last 1/3. You don't. This other area that's in this area isn't effective. What ends up happening is it causes some quirky control when you're doing some elevator and roll maneuvers. When you take that out, it ends up making this airplane fly in rolls and inverted, and it just makes it a lot more clean as far as when you're yanking and banking and rolling at the same time with the airplane. So when you cut these edges off and then laminate this elevon to look like this, basically it's going to handle so much better that way. And we found it on the slope and even flying electrics that it just handles a lot more crisp when you trim the inboard part of the elevon out. So what I'm going to end up doing is putting these on a 44 IYF here, and it's pretty much standard on all the other Ritewings just like this. So basically what I've done is trimmed this out, got it to where it looks good. I didn't spray it with 3M90 or anything. I just got it ready. So what I'm going to end up doing now is mounting this on the airplane. What I did is I got some clear tape. This is just like clear magic tape. It's clear and shiny. You use that to go ahead and pre-mount this elevon on, and once you pre-mount it on, it's going to be simple to go ahead and get the 3M storage tape. You don't want to try to put it on with 3M storage tape right off the get-go because you're going to end up with a mess because that stuff sticks like glue, and if you get the elevon halfway on in a bad position, you're going to end up ripping stuff up trying to get it off, whether you rip the elevon laminating film off or you rip the film off the airplane trying to get it reset. So here, I'm going to go ahead and turn this camera down and we'll go ahead and get a first hand view of what to do as far as putting the elevon on and get it where it looks good. I'm trying to get an eyeball on the camera here. So what the first thing I'm going to end up doing, I've already laminated this film onto this airplane last night, set it in the wing beds. It's ready to go ahead and put this on. So what I've done is I've cut the outboard part of the elevon that's going to end up being out by the winglet out here. I cut it a little bit away from the actual winglet, and the reason I did that is so if you cartwheel and roll this airplane and hit the ground, it doesn't chip the edge of the elevon off, and it kind of protects it. It also, for shipping, when I put this elevon on and shipping, I can put this out and flip it onto the wing for shipping without the winglet on, and it doesn't hang out over the edge here and break off. So when I ship this plane, I'll flip this like this and ship it, and then the owner of the plane, when he gets it, he's going to be able to go ahead and mount the winglet on and do the wiring for the lights. So basically what I'm going to end up doing is put this elevon to where it looks like it's nice and even, get all the gaps out of the trailing edge, and I will mount a couple pieces of this tape on here to hold that right up to the gap. And I'm going to tape it by my finger here because my finger, I can feel how even it is. So I got it bent down as if the airplane's going down, and I'm matching my beveled edge. And I'll put a few pieces of tape on there and back tape it is what I call it. And I'll do this in a few places all the way down the elevon. It's a very simple procedure. It actually, the way you tape this on here with all the storage tape and back taping it with this skinny tape here, it literally turns the trailing edge of this airplane almost into a spar itself. It's like having a drag spar. So now I see where the pieces of tape are, and now I'm going to flip it onto the wing, and I'll make sure that there's no gap in there, and I will go ahead and back tape it. I got some more here. I'm going to go ahead and back tape it on the back side where there's no gap, pushing down on it so the elevon itself is tighter than heck all the way across the back side. So I'll put about 4 pieces onto the back side there, and this will hold the elevon into a perfect hinged position, pre-hinged, so I can put the storage tape on. It makes for a really nice hinge. Way better than these double Z hinges that people where they stick two pieces of tape together and then put the hinge. Now when you see this, you got it back taped in about 3 or 4, actually 4 places in here. There's no gap. And you flip it the other way, and you have no gap. You can see all the way across there. There's no gap, and it is clean. This airplane doesn't need, this airplane and the Zephyr and most of the other airplanes don't need any more deflection than this. Actually, when you're flying, you only use about this much here. Actually, it's about neutral, and then you go about this much and that much. So that's about all you use, is maybe a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch of full movement. If you're pulling full elevator and you need movements like this, like Zaggies use and some of these other wings use, this thing's going to be out of control. These control surfaces that I use here are actually used to complete the airfoil. So it makes the airplane fly a lot more sensitive. It keeps connection to the air so much better. It doesn't slow when you're yanking and banking, and it's just much better way to mount your elevons, and it's much more efficient as far as the way it flies. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and grab the 3M storage tape, and if you look right here, it says 3M mailing and storage, and it also says it onto the inside of the mailing and storage tape right there too. So what I usually do is just pull a strip off, get a nice and clean piece, and I'll go ahead and pull off a full length across this elevon here. Okay, now I'm going to put about 1/3 of it on the wood. I'm bending the elevon down too, so I'm going to put about 1/3 of it on the wood and 2/3 of it on the plane. Nice and clean. And I'm doing this while the wing's in the wing beds. It keeps the contour of the wing really, really straight. And basically just work it back and forth and work it on. And there you go. Now you got a perfect hinge. So I'll come down to the edges and trim these edges a little bit, and then just fold them onto the balsa. I'll fold a little bit onto the airplane, but I'll go ahead and trim it and fold it down onto the balsa a little bit. You know, basically go ahead and trim the edge and trim the edge. Then I'll do is take a little piece of this tape, hold the elevon back onto the airplane a little bit, and I can pull that off later. And then what I'll do is either take a full length of this tape or a full length of the storage tape and do the same thing I did. With this right now, I'm going to use the storage tape. So what I'll do is flip this airplane over, and then I'll do is put, I'll go ahead and give you guys a close-up here in a second. I'll just tape the wood on the backside, and that's it. Just to where I got about 1/4 inch of it on the wood. Okay, now hold on. I'm gonna pull it up there so you can see. Okay, what I have here is, you can see basically what I've done is I haven't taken the tape and wrapped it around the wood. I've only taken the tape and put it onto the wood, and then it's going on to the back beveled side of the foam. And then I'll go ahead and slowly work it down onto there. And this makes your bulletproof right wing hinge here. You know, take it nice and easy so you don't get wrinkles in it, and it'll turn out really nice. And then sometimes what I'll do is, when I get done, is I'll take the iron, but not on super high heat, but lower heat, start a little bit lower, and I will flex this elevon back and forth in both directions, and I'll heat the joints up when I do it back and forth, and it makes for a really nice sealed hinge that doesn't ever come off. So there's your perfect right wing hinge there. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off, and what I'll do is come back here, and that piece of tape that I added onto the airplane, I'll pull it off, and look at that. Now you got a perfectly hinged elevon that's back hinged on both sides. Both sides it's back hinged on. So the tape only went to this edge here. It didn't go any farther over on the elevon. It only went to that edge. And then the other 2/3 of it ended up going onto the bottom of the wing here. So you got 1/3 here and 2/3 here, and none of it over onto the balsa here. So there you go. Perfect elevon for Ritewing IYF with the tapers and everything somewhat described on why we do it. Thanks, guys.